The second day of what, 17. The world champion will be crowned a fortnight tomorrow night. Obviously, Stephen Hendry out last night, beaten in the first round, so his crown is there to be taken. Will it be Ronnie O'Sullivan who manages to be world champion for the first time this year? His opponent in the opening round is David Gray, and we're going to pick up the match right at the start. Clive Everton and Willie Thorne are your commentators.
Ronnie O'Sullivan coming here fresh from his capture of the Scottish Open in Aberdeen. Snooker's greatest natural talent ever, I believe. In the natural ability department, David Gray stands pretty high. At the age of 16 years, 2 months, he became the youngest ever English amateur champion. And to qualify for the Crucible this year, he beat Thailand's top player of long standing, James Watanabe. He's also a young player, not intimidated by playing in front of a big crowd. He beat Tony Drago 5-1 in the Malta Grand Prix in front of a full house of Drago supporters. A couple of months back.
Eleven. 12.
Just the type of start. The underdog, and David is the underdog in this match, of course, against Ronnie O'Sullivan. There was a tremendous reception that Ronnie O'Sullivan
17.
got when he came into the arena. And
18.
this is an opportunity for David to prove that Ronnie's not the only player here. A bit like football, Clive, you know, keep the crowd quiet.
25. 26.
Gray has certainly settled with no sign whatsoever of nerves. Full house at the Crucible, millions watching on television.
30.
Great, that's his reaction.
$34. 41. 42.
Just the right side of the blue, and still the one loose red to play for. But now imperative, if he's going to make this a frame-winning contribution after potting this red, he gets a good angle on the blue to try and disturb that cluster. Well, decided to play for the black. The reason I mention the blue, there's a bit more margin of error for getting the right angle on the blue, and he's not exactly perfect on this black. A lot of pace needed here. That was the problem, whereas I felt if he'd have played for the blue and made certain he got
55.
top side of the blue, then to disturb that cluster would have been a bit easier. So it's end of break, but what a confident start.
From his first opportunity. A good safety turned into a better one by the favourable kiss on the green.
Well, that was a terrific escape. Has he left anything? 55 points the lead for David Gray, so if he can get through to a red and get on a colour, and he can pot that one, the one will go in the left centre, so it's a frame winning chance.
One. Seven.
Just enough room to get through on this red.
8.
So just the black. And Ronnie O'Sullivan, who's only had 2 shots in this game, an attempted long pot and an escape from the snooker, will be 1 frame down.
$15.
70 in front, 67 on the table.
David Gray, 15.
That'll be 1-0, barring penalties.
So a good start for the outsider who took the first frame against Ronnie O'Sullivan, but O'Sullivan then made it all square at 1 apiece, winning 61-53 in quite a tight second frame. So let's resume the activity in the third.
Well, it's not a bad length from Ronnie. This red is on, but a bit more difficult near the cushion. Well, I thought it would have been. That's a terrific pot from David Gray.
1.
Good cueing.
6.
He's not a red into the right corner, but just having a look to see if there's a plant in the right centre. With him being so close to the cushion, the plant, if it's dead on, is, well, unmissable.
7.
That's what it turned out to be, so things running quite nicely for David at the moment. No,
David Gray.
they're always
7.
difficult when you're rolling them like that, dead weight. If they're straight, it's not too bad, but a slight angle, and you're expecting it maybe just the cue ball to just maybe drift off slightly. But in the main on these
1.
tables here at the championship, super fine cloths, unlike the cloths you'd find in your snooker club, they don't have a strong nap. And probably in the club, Clive, where he practices, that cue ball may have drifted off slightly, and he probably allowed for that. But it was a bad mistake. At
8.
this level, to miss a black off the spot, it means that you're leaving your opponent in at the danger area. And there's no one more dangerous, of course, than his opponent.
Yeah, just the last word on that. I thought that he got a little bit more margin of error in terms of pace than the pace he actually played it at. He got a good 4 or 5 more inches to play with.
But Ronnie's been prowling around the table here. I think there is a red that will go. Yes, there you see it.
9.
And if the pink pots, well, maybe that's why he was thinking about it. Maybe the pink doesn't go, and he knew he had to leave himself this longish blue. So after a little excursion up the middle of the
14.
table, now back in perfect position. A good scoring chance.
15. 22. 23. 30. 31. 36. 37. 44.
He's always been good in around the black spot, Ronnie, but, well,
45.
young man that he is, he just seems to be getting better. Got such a lovely touch when he's around the black. And of course, he seems to be making maximum
52.
breaks now, Clive, for fun.
53.
Yes, 2 this season in competition, including one in the Scottish Open week before last.
60.
Another red and a black would be sufficient to put this frame safe, or in the snooker's required stage.
61.
But, well, maybe a chance for a century.
68. 69. 76. 77.
Always amazes me with Ronnie. I mean, he's really overstretched
83.
there to play that pink, and we know how good he is left-handed, but it seems that when he's playing right-handed, that's what he plays. If he's playing left-handed, he wouldn't have even thought about it. But anyway, in they went, 90.
91.
So the rocket has been launched.
$96. 98.
39th century of the season has been reached in 5.5 minutes.
105. 110. 116.
'High-speed virtuosity, sheer class. Ronnie O'Sullivan clears with 123 to lead by 2 frames to 1.
Well, that was a terrific pot. He certainly knocked some balls in so far in this match. But unfortunately, the last frame, he missed a black. Well, probably a bit easier than this. But he didn't miss that one. And he run into the reds, and he looks as though he's come out perfect.
8.
Yes, this red definitely goes. Just run it in. Nicely on the black for the same pocket.
9. 16. 17. 22. 23.
'Well, there's these 3 reds along the top cushion. It's probably a good idea to play for one of them, maybe stun into one of them and just bring it away from the cushion. And, well, that's a bit unlucky. I thought bring one away and still be on
30.
another one, but the one he's left now, he's just going to drop in dead weight. It's missable. That was the problem.
David Gray, 30.
It was a little bit unlucky there, though, not to have left that red at a better angle for the pot. Just caught the top cushion and just stayed out.
1.
Well, there is one loose red, but I'd be surprised if Ronnie doesn't take this opportunity. A nice angle on the black to stun into that cluster of reds just below the pink.
Eight. Nine.
Well, just overrun slightly. He may take this opportunity, pop the blue cannon into the pink, which is the top of those 4 reds. He'd be unlucky not to be on the one into the right centre. Unless he hits it like that. I think he can get through to it, but
14.
it's not as easy as it should have been. Or I thought it would have been.
50. $20. 21. 28. 29.
'This is very crisp, very fluent.
36.
Yes, I was just thinking that. Ronnie just paused for a moment before. He was in
37.
perfect position, but he's going to need one of those reds near the top cushion. So there's a little bit of work to do, but yes, Clive, I couldn't agree more. And I would have thought
43.
all the Ronnie O'Sullivan's supporters, and there is a growing army in the game, I should think
44.
would be delighted with the way he's played these first 4 frames. And also his attitude looks very match sharp.
Highly focused, highly determined.
50. 51.
I know how desperately he wants to win this world title. And playing like this, if he continues to play like this,
57.
why shouldn't he?
58.
So now this is the key shot, 28 points in front. The black to go 35 points in front, so he still needs one more red. And it all depends now on this cannon from black to red. And that's perfect.
$65. 66.
Well, made a century in the last frame.
73.
You wouldn't like betting against
74.
him not getting one in this.
$81. 83. 86. 90.
Well, this is superb, not only in conception but execution.
95.
Every shot planned. As much advanced planning as is necessary. And so we have back-to-back centuries. 123 in the last frame, 121 in that. O'Sullivan leads by 3 frames to 1 at the mid-session interval.
So the Rockets certainly had liftoff early on, leading by 3 frames to 1 at that break. The next frame, we pick it up in the 5th, and O'Sullivan now is in a little bit of trouble.
Foul and a miss. David Gray 4.
Well, it wasn't a bad effort. It has changed the game dramatically, this misrule, hasn't it, Clive? We don't want to go into it, but I mean, years ago, I mean, that would have been deemed as a fair attempt, and the player would have just come to the David Gray would have come to the table there and had to play the next shot, you know. And that time is allowed just a bit too much, I think. Oh no, just feathered it. Great shots. Another one.
Yeah, to take up your point, John, I think it's made snooker a more positive game. In the past, only rarely did players miss deliberately, but sometimes they perhaps didn't strive over hard to make a successful escape.
Point taken, Clive. Yeah, that's fair comment, but there are occasions now, as David Gray has slipped up slightly, left that red over the corner, but Ronnie can't get through it to pot it direct, as you can see, and he hasn't got the option, I don't think, of hitting one ball onto the other, so trying to come cushion first. It's got to be accurate. Good shot. Good shot, good result. Kissing the blue on the way back down the table and developing it for a pot in the corner pocket. Yeah, more positive, but just to carry on with the point. Well, it happened yesterday. I mean, Paul Hunter was snookered by Joe Swale and in the end finished up giving 45 points away, you know. So one good snooker can get you enough points to win a frame now, which seems amazing to me.
Yes, I think that's the downside of the rule, actually. I don't think any snooker's worth 45 points.
14. 15.
Meanwhile, the business end of the game is potting and break building. And we're seeing a fine exhibition of that.
22.
Absolutely, and as I said in the frame before the interval, that when he gets in around the black, his touch is so good. And of course,
23.
That is brought about by confidence, great confidence in his ability. And probably comes into this championship in as good a form, result-wise, than he ever has done. Winning the Regal Scottish Open and absolutely pulverised the world #1, Mark
30.
Williams, in the final.
But, as O'Sullivan says himself, he's never sure how he's going to play from one day to the next. He can
38.
veer from the sublime to the self-destructive very quickly.
39.
But no sign of the latter this afternoon. He really is striking the ball well.
46. 47. 54.
Gray may be wondering whether he's about to sit out a third consecutive century. A feat only performed once before at the Crucible
55.
by John Higgins 2 years ago.
I don't think the pink spot is available. That's why Ronnie confidently played for these,
61.
either of these two reds. There you see it is covered. It's on the highest available, which is the brown.
62. 69.
So he can
70.
get to the 100 with just these reds and blacks.
77. 78. 85. 86.
So, perfect on the
93.
red. Just drop it in for the black and another century. No problem.
94.
Great stuff.
There's the century hat-trick. It's only been done once before at the Crucible.
103.
Breaks of 123 and 101 in the two frames before the mid-session interval.
106.
And another century immediately on the resumption.
110.
Yes, this is vintage Ronnie O'Sullivan. Probably not playing as quick as we have seen him. He's given every
115.
shot due care and attention, but it's still quick.
One 6 minutes 38. A break of 115. A century hat-trick and a 4-1 lead. Too thick on that safety.
Yeah, let's just spare a thought for David. He looks to be playing well, but the slightest mistake he's made and he's finished up back in his seat.
1. 8. 9. 16. 17. 24. 25.
Well, early days, but can 4 centuries in 4 frames be ruled out?
Well, I don't think it can, Clive, and something else we can't rule out either is the fact that at the moment each red has been
33.
followed by a black.
£147,000 for a 147 maximum.
Yeah, I think the interesting odds by the bookmakers, it's 13 to 8 on. You can bet that there isn't one.
41.
The maximum, of course, would also collect a £20,000 highest break prize.
$48. 49.
Well, there's maybe one loose red, but will he decide to try and disturb the cluster here? He does. It's not bad. It's not great, but it's not bad.
56. 57.
When he opened the reds, and I said it wasn't great, because there's
64.
still 3 reds just below the pink, a little bit tied up. But he has had a look at the 2 reds together, and they look as though they could be close to a plant for the right centre when he removes other balls. Perfect on this red, of course.
65.
'A little bit short of
72.
pace. But I think he can just drop this red into the right corner and just hold for a half ball black.
73.
Oh, he tried the cannon.
80.
So, good pot required. Frame over, of course.
Still in with a chance.
A friendly kiss leaves him still on the black.
Can we be quiet, please? 88.
Well, referee John Williams asking for quiet. I can't blame anybody for getting excited at this.
89.
He's run too far.
$96.
Getting difficult now, but still possible. No maximum, no 4 centuries in 4 frames. But a superb effort of 96 increases his lead to 5-1.
Well, on attempt at the long red, if he doesn't get the double kiss, it could have been a shot for nothing. So a chance for David Gray, but well, you can imagine how he's feeling. He's hardly had a shot in the last 4 frames.
1.
He sat down and watched Ronnie make 3 centuries and a 96, so it'll be like starting all over again for the young man.
Six. Seven.
Yeah, he's caught the 1 red full in the face. There was a
14.
couple of loose reds he could have played for. He's got a decision to make now. And he's contemplating this red along the top cushion. I can't believe that that's the right one. Possible red into the right centre. Stun over to the left-hand side of the table for a baulk colour. I think he's determined to go for a pot. Good shot.
15.
Well, when you've been on the receiving end of the sort of treatment that O'Sullivan's been dishing out in the last 4 frames, you've just got to stick to your method, keep your concentration, retain your self-belief.
Easier said than done, Clive.
80. $90.
Well, he's spotted a red
26.
there, just below the pink that will go in this right corner. There you see it. And in playing it,
27.
opened up the cluster. Oh, what a good reply this is from David Gray. Wouldn't it be a treat if he could make a century here?
$32. $33. $39. $40. 47. 48. 54.
'Action continuing apace here at the Crucible. Less than 12 minutes a frame.
$55.
Yes, and when you consider the second frame of this match was 25.5 minutes, and there's only been one other frame that was over 10 minutes, so it's certainly been played, as you say, at a pace, but it's been Ronnie O'Sullivan who's been making the running up until now, and this is a marvellous break. I take my hat off to David Gray here.
63.
To have sat through what he's had to sit through the last 4 frames. This is a remarkable performance, and that's unlucky. The frame's safe, or should be,
70.
but what a pity he couldn't go on to make the century.
Foul.
Oh,
David Gray, 70. Ronnie O'Sullivan, 4.
can you believe it? O'Sullivan is back in the frame.
Well, it might have let him back in, but it didn't, and Gray went on to take that frame 5-2, and very shortly afterwards made it 5-3 as well. So the game very much more interesting than it might have been had that previous frame swung on that foul shot. Anyway, here we go with the last frame of the session, the 9th, and we're joining it at the start.
Well, O'Sullivan thought it was time to risk the long red, but he could regret it.
1.
Gray has taken the last 2 frames with breaks of 70 and 69, and has an opportunity to build up a useful lead in this one as he tries to limit O'Sullivan's overnight lead to 5-4.
Six. 7.
Not the best break building opportunity, of course, with the pink and black out of commission.
30.
And that's why it was imperative that he got a nice angle on the blue, and that is absolutely perfect. So we've seen the shot many times, pot the blue with pace, cannon into the pink, full ball. Not only will we open the reds, it will bring the pink into play, and possibly the black. Not bad, it's not...
18.
It's not as good as it could have been, mainly because I don't think the black's available. As you can see, everything seemed to move apart from the black. Well, just fractionally. I think it's back up for the blue.
90.
And wrong angle on the blue, so a bit more work to do, but the reds are nicely spread. A good positional shot. Could set him up for taking this frame.
$25.
You know, Clive, I'm just looking at this, and as you mentioned earlier, David Gray ranked 60th in the world, you know, and when you see the ability this young man's got, it just shows you the wealth of talent and what these players have to go through just to get here to the Crucible Theatre.
27.
The circuit has terrific strength in depth, and the competition of the last 20 years has progressively driven up the standard.
A positional shot that was. That was a great shot. And, well, it looks now as though it's only going to be 5-4 to Ronnie O'Sullivan.
$36.
And it's certainly not because he's eased off. It's because Gray has responded magnificently.
$43. $44. $51. $52.
I remember a couple of years ago someone asking me had I seen David Gray play, and I said, well, to be honest with you, no, I haven't. How good is he? And he was described as being a proper job.
59. $60.
Well, he's shown that this afternoon. He's refused to be intimidated by the occasion or his opponent's brilliance.
67. 68. $75.
Yes, you just feel now that what would just put the icing on the cake is for him to make a century. He thoroughly deserves it. The only problem is he's going to need the 3 remaining
83.
reds, and the one near the left-hand side cushion is awkward. And as I say, he deserves it. He's stuck in really well, and it's not as if he tried to slow it down. I mean, the last couple
89.
of frames that he's won are just as quick as the frames that Ronnie O'Sullivan was winning. What a pity.
A remarkable session. O'Sullivan had a hat-trick of centuries. 123, 101 and 115. He also had 13 reds, 13 blacks, a break of 96 in the following frame. That put him 5-1 up, but David Gray came back strongly with 70, 69 and 89. And so O'Sullivan leads only 5-4 overnight.
So that match is now interestingly poised. It actually plays to a finish tomorrow morning, but highlights continue, or at least live coverage as well continues tonight on BBC Two.
You know, it's a 17-day tournament. You know, you're not going to win it in the first week, but, you know, you could lose it. So it's just important, you know, for me especially, to get over the first round. I've never normally had, you know, many troubles in the first rounds, but, you know, I know it's going to happen one day.
He's one of the most charismatic players in the game, and of course he's one of the favourites for this championship. And Ronnie O'Sullivan is in action in just a few moments. Good afternoon to you. Welcome to the Heritage Room here at the Crucible Theatre. This is a mini museum full of all sorts of snooker and billiards artefacts, and it's always very popular with all the visitors to this £1.46 million Embassy Championship of the World. And of course, as I'm sure you know, we've had an eventful opening weekend. We've seen some terrific snooker, and we've also had one of the biggest shocks in many, many years, the defeat of the 7-times champion Stephen Hendry in the opening round by Stuart Bingham from Essex. So we'll have to wait at least another year for those King Henry VIII headlines. Let's remind you then of the state of play in the draw. And there is Stuart Bingham's 10-7 defeat over Stephen Hendry. Hendry, the first defending champion to go out in the first round since Dennis Taylor way back in 1986. And Bingham will now face either Jimmy White or Billy Snadden, who begin their match on Wednesday. Also still to come, Matthew Stevens, one of the favourites, against Tony Drago. Alan McManus against a former finalist and Nigel Bond. John Parrott, the 91 winner, now meets Gary Wilkinson. Paul Hunter, though, the world number 12, is out, beaten 10-6 by Joe Swale. Dominic Dale leads Peter Ebdon 5-4 overnight, as does Ronnie O'Sullivan. He's 5-4 up in David Gray. That's the game coming up in a moment. Mark Williams is through, though. He beat John Reid 10-4, and Drew Henry has upset Mark King by 10 frames to 8. Same scoreline in Fergal O'Brien's long drawn-out match with Chris Small, 10-8 to the Irishman. Stephen Lee faces Christian Helgason of Iceland. Ken Doherty, former winner, against Darren Morgan. Anthony Hamilton is underway against Marco Fu. More of that later. Steve Davis, looking for his 7th title, meets Graham Dott. And at the bottom of the draw, it's John Higgins, the 98 champion, against Dave Harold. So that's the state of play. Let's immediately get to the match which resumed here at the Crucible this morning between Ronnie O'Sullivan and David Gray. Ronnie O'Sullivan, of course, such a talented player. Everyone says that one day he will be the world champion. Will 2000 be his year? Well, all the experts agree that he certainly has the game to do it.
Well, Ronnie O'Sullivan, for me, could go on to be the greatest snooker player that's ever picked the snooker cue up and overtake Stephen Hendry. That's my personal opinion, because he's the most naturally gifted player we've ever had in the game.
I think Ronnie's strength is he's probably the most naturally talented player out there, and his strength is that you can leave him any situation, and if he's playing well, he's just going to clear up every time.
I sometimes watch him play, and I see him come to the table. I think that Stephen Hendry is one of the few other people I've seen do it. And there looks to be nothing on. There's one ball, maybe 2 balls in the open. And within 2 shots, all the reds are in the open, and you're sat in the commentary box saying, well, he should clear up from here. But you're like pinching yourself because you think, well, how? Because the table didn't look as though it was there to be made a frame-winning clearance.
Great break builder, and another record that Ronnie holds, I can't see ever been beaten, was when he made that magnificent maximum 147 break at the Crucible Theatre in 5 minutes and 20 seconds. Anyone that can do that or beat that is going to take something very, very special.
I mean, sometimes he takes the option of playing left-handed. Now, whether that's just to annoy himself or to say himself, look, I can do this left-handed, why can't my right hand do it today? And I think he's got that little battle going on in his mind.
Ronnie tends to look as if he's not interested and if he's not trying when things are not going well for him. And that's the one downside. He seems to get disinterested in the game. And if he can overcome that, I'm sure he would tell you himself he would take some beating.
I know that I should have deep down probably done more, and I haven't, so I might feel like I've underachieved and haven't got the best out of myself. So in some ways I'm hitting myself over the head sometimes with a hammer saying, you know, I'm a failure. Well, actually, I'm not really a failure, but I just haven't achieved what I believe I should have achieved. But there's only one person to blame for that, and that's myself.
He's just the best natural talent the game has ever produced. And I think if everybody played at their best, Ronnie would be the best. But unfortunately for Ronnie, he doesn't always play at his best, but he's a pleasure to watch.
And of course, Ronnie's also the man in top current form. He beat Mark Williams to win the Scottish Open in Aberdeen just 8 days ago. So it's a tough task for David Gray, but make no mistake, he's a genuinely talented young player. He's just 21 years old. He's world ranked 60. He's from Surrey, and this his second visit to the Crucible. And here's how things went in their opening 9 enthralling frames. Ronnie O'Sullivan's opening session with the world number 60 David Gray provided some of the most entertaining snooker of the championship so far. After sharing the first 2 frames, O'Sullivan equalled the Crucible record with 3 consecutive centuries. Then, with the 1-4-7 on, O'Sullivan missed the 13th red, but it still took him into a 5-1 lead. Undaunted, Gray held his nerve. He came back to win the next 3, leaving O'Sullivan all too aware that at 5-4, he still has a match in his hands. Well, O'Sullivan took the opening frame this morning to stretch that lead to 6-4. Let's pick up play in frame 11 then. It's Ronnie O'Sullivan at the table. He's 39-0 behind. Make that 39-1. And our commentators are John Virgo and Clive Everton.
Very unlucky. Can't believe that those reds all covered one another. There's 3 reds all covered up, and he's potted the black, disturbed them, and they've gone back and making problems. Just this tough red to go at. Oh, great shot. This could be a big frame, this. As I say, normally the frames have been won with one player making a big break. So this could just turn that tide.
$15. Yeah, 16.
Gray still thinking back to the easy red he missed on 39. It could lead to him falling 3 frames behind.
$22. $23. $30. 31. $38. 39.
Well, you might not think it, but obviously
46.
this red goes in between the green and blue into the corner pocket. Obviously,
47.
Ronnie looked at that quite a few shots ago. Still a bit of work to do, though, to win the frame at this visit. 8 points in front. Awkward red near the left-hand cushion, and yellow tight on the port cushion. So by no means straightforward.
$52.
So he may be thinking he'll get another chance in this frame.
$53.
Yes, pink from that red, and black from the last red would have been enough to leave Gray needing a snooker.
59.
But O'Sullivan hasn't stunned across far enough.
Ronnie O'Sullivan, 59.
So O'Sullivan has to be content with a 20-point lead as he tries to go 3 frames ahead.
Well, it was very close, and I think David Gray thought that was in. Just a fraction out. Good white from Ronnie. Puts pressure now on David Gray. He knows he can't afford to leave this last red, otherwise it will almost certainly cost him this frame. So pressure safety shot coming up.
Potable red to far corner. If you're going to miss those, it's better to miss them too thin rather than too thick, because if you hit them too thick, the red comes back down the table with the cue ball.
One.
Just overrun a little bit too much. He'd have liked to have been on a nice half ball blue just to stun down for the awkward yellow. He needs good position on the yellow. Playing it off the pink. Off the right hand and left hand cushions. And that looks pretty good. Maybe he could have been with a slightly more angle. The more pace he puts into this shot, less chance of the pocket accepting it.
9.
And it went.
$12. $16.
Wrong side of the blue, but should be able to regain position for pink in such a way as he can also get on the black, but that's too near the side cushion for
21.
comfort.
Yes, he's 1 point in front. Pink to go 7 in front with the black left, so pink and black still required. And that little bump off the middle pocket jaw has helped him slightly. It'd been a lot more difficult. It would have been tight on the cushion. So black to reduces arrears to 1 frame.
Excellent. David Gray made a bad mistake with his first chance in that frame, but certainly made up for it later with that 34 clearance to win on the black and reduce O'Sullivan's lead to 6-5.
Yes, a superb clearance by Gray, and a 76 in the next frame levelled the scores at 6-all. But then O'Sullivan came up with a 51 to go ahead again, 7-6. Here's frame 14. It's O'Sullivan to play. Early on, no score yet.
Attempted that red as if he expected to get it.
Yes, no real thoughts of a shot for nothing. Left the cue ball in the middle of the table. Lovely angle on the blue. Just having a look. I think the black is available into the right corner. It just depends where the next red comes from. He may elect to take the bull by the horns, pot the blue and cannon into the pink and really open the reds, but you trust a little bit to luck. And with his skill, try not to trust to luck, trust to playing the perfect shot. But in the end, couldn't be certain, and it will settle for that.
6.
As I say, the black is available. A nice easy red into the left corner. Now here you see. And he had a little bit of right-hand side on this, so watch the cue ball when it comes off the cushion. It comes down towards the red, perfect kiss, red on for the left corner. As I say, when you go into them, you need a bit of luck, and he had some. Actual fact, I did say right-hand side on the cue ball, it was left-hand side. But whatever, he had the perfect result. Just got to judge this now to come up for the black, and that's perfect.
7. $14. 15.
When he's round the black spot
22.
with lots of reds,
23.
he's got the instinct of a great chess player to make his moves in the right order. Touch, shot selection, and of course potting the key to big breaks. Blue didn't offer the position which could have been achieved from Brown,
27.
even though Brown was the more difficult pot.
I think he's on the red he played for, but not as straight as he would have liked.
28.
But managed to manoeuvre the cue ball off the other reds. A little bit close to the cushion than he probably would have liked. So he's having to dig down here slightly. Well, it was very straight, that black. He just forced enough angle to
35.
develop the red just to the right of the black. With the power he had to put in that. And
36.
that time, just a little bit too much pace. So 36 points, but tough shot coming up. Well, he played it well, but he may be unlucky. He must have thought he was certain if he potted the black to be on the red in the balk end. As it turns out, he's snookered by the green, it appears. So not out of the woods yet.
And of course doesn't have the option of a return to balk safety.
Well, is he going to play safe or go for the pot? It's go for the pot. This is dangerous. Oh, what a pot. Oh, what a shot. Perfect on the pink. Should win the frame now.
Good pot at any time.
51.
Great pot and positional shot in context.
Yeah, it's a difficult pot, and the thing was, Clive, of course, with that red being in the balk end, as you say, there was no possibility of a shot for nothing, so he had to fully commit to that
59.
shot. Great pot, great position, deserved to win any frame.
$65. 66. $73.
He's done nothing wrong in this frame, just sheer inspiration from Ronnie O'Sullivan.
74.
Could this be his 4th century of the match?
$79. 80. 85. 86. 93. 94.
O'Sullivan's 4th century of the match. His 42nd of the season.
102.
And one made possible
109.
by an excellent long red round about the 50 mark
111.
when he'd lost position, potted the red and has gone on to win the frame.
140.
Had he missed it, he would have been exposed to a counter-attack,
180.
which could possibly have seen Gray catch him at 7-all.
123.
Virtuoso stuff, this. clearance of 136. Again, puts Ronnie O'Sullivan 2 frames clear. He leads David Gray by 8 frames to 6.
Fabulous stuff. A contender for shot of the championship, helping Ronnie O'Sullivan to that 136, the second best of the championship so far, behind Joe Swale's 141. Ronnie's also had a 123 and 115. Stephen Hendry's 106, of course, but he's gone. So is Chris Small, and on 100, Peter Ebden. Already, we have had a virtually record number of century breaks for the first round, and we're not even halfway through yet. Terrific stuff. So, into frame 15 then. O'Sullivan 8-6 in front, looking to get to the 10 frames, which will take him into round 2. It's O'Sullivan to play, nothing potted yet.
This red obviously goes into the right centre.
1.
A good shot it was. Okay, may have liked to have had a better angle on the blue. Was able to hold in the middle of the table, and
6.
such a good cue in action, David. These type of shots, stun run through for the black, are food and drink usually.
7.
He won't be shaken off.
$14.
Could have done with being straighter on this red.
$15.
Controlled that pretty well, though. Position on pink to middle.
Only 3 frames in this match have taken over 15 minutes.
21.
David Gray has kept up the pace along with Ronnie O'Sullivan.
22.
He only has a few thoughts when it's not straightforward position. And he's a little bit deep on this, but I would suggest now is the opportunity to pot the blue and cannon into the pink and open up the reds. He should still be on a red into the right centre. Well, hasn't he played that well? My word, he's at the top of his game, this young man. Every credit. He will not buckle. Hit this absolutely perfect. Pink thumb in the face, that keeps the cue ball in the middle of the table. And that red just helped it into a better position.
28.
Once again, if anything, just a little bit too much angle on the blue, but it shouldn't cause a problem. This is a frame-winning chance.
$33. 34. $41. 42.
Well, you wouldn't expect a mistake here. After this black, another 3 reds with colours would be sufficient.
$49. 50. 57.
Gray's form and composure has been completely unaffected by any brilliance that O'Sullivan has thrown at him.
58.
He's refused to be intimidated. He's remained focused on his own game. Just a red and a colour will put O'Sullivan at the snooker's required stage.
66.
Yes, and Ronnie, well, I think he knew this morning when he arrived here he had a match on. David Gray is
73.
absolutely brilliant throughout the match, and it's only because Ronnie O'Sullivan's at the absolute top of his
74.
game that he's still got that 1 frame advantage. The only thing that David Gray hasn't done so far in this match is make a century. He's done everything else.
A kick robbed him of black ball position, but the pink proved to be no problem.
80. 81. 88. 89. 96.
Oh, and a kick
Really great. 96.
on the black, which would have given him a century. But that was a very fine 96. It reduces his arrears to only 1 frame. O'Sullivan leads by 8 frames to 7.
Yes, Graham may have been deprived of his first century, but he's still very much in this match. Just the 1 frame in it then. Let's move on into the next frame, 16. Again, it's early on. It's great to play, and there's no score yet.
Cue ball wasn't that far off the vault cushion, but smacked the red in.
Seven. 8.
He's played some superb stun run-throughs in this match. Lovely cue ball control.
15.
Well, I think David now will pot the black and go into this cluster of reds. If you catch the left-hand edge of him, he could still go up the table for that red in the middle, if all else fails. That's okay, he's got a straight red into the right centre.
23.
He's not looked at it yet, but he will now. Just a little stun shot back for the black.
24.
Well, he nearly got to the other side of that cluster of 5 for a straight red into the right corner. A bit more difficult now, hampered over the reds, and going to drop this red into the left centre. It's missable.
David Gray, 31.
Having dropped out of position, that was a tricky one to have to play. And it was one of the few times in the match that Gray hasn't made as many as perhaps he should have done, considering the position of the balls. Has scored heavily from virtually every decent opportunity he's had. Now, though, O'Sullivan realises full well that this is a chance for him
8
to go 2 up with 3 to play.
A little grimace there from Ronnie.
14.
He nearly missed that pink, and he knew it. It wasn't right in the middle of the pocket.
15.
Yeah, it's been a funny match in that respect. Whoever seems to have got first in, mainly because of the quality of break building, they seem to have won the frame. He doesn't look very happy here, David. He shouldn't reproach himself. He was just a fraction out on his positional shot, and the ready miss was difficult. But nobody has actually, well, what we'd say, pinched a frame
20.
yet. Maybe this is a chance for Ronnie
21.
to make a counter-attack that's worthwhile. Well, how's that gone?
27.
Oh, you can get through the gap. That's nice.
28.
Good chance now.
$35. 36. 43. 44.
Gray knows that O'Sullivan can score enough around the pink and black spot to secure this frame without having to worry
51.
about the red on the baulk line.
52.
My word, this is
59.
impressive stuff from Ronnie O'Sullivan. And what has impressed me most of all, Clive, is the fact that he's just kept himself focused. Many times we've seen him in matches seem to get a little bit disturbed and start changing his game and playing left-handed. I mean, obviously, he'd no reason to ever do that in this match. Every time he's got to the table, he's hit the ball so well. But you were just wondering at times, with David Gray pushing him so hard, whether any cracks were going to appear. But they haven't.
66.
He's kept up a tremendous standard.
67. 72.
2 snookers needed. And now a chance for another century.
75. 77.
Which would be O'Sullivan's 5th of the match.
80. 84. 89. 95.
Gray first in this frame, but missed a tricky red on 31. O'Sullivan, with a superb clearance at 102, goes 2 clear at 9-7. 2 up, 3 to play.
Yes, Ronnie O'Sullivan moving very impressively, 1 step closer to the finishing line. Into frame 17 then, and David Gray in frame 17 played what is probably the shot of the championship so far.
What a shot! And on the yellow. Look at this.
Yes, that was a bit special, wasn't it? And David Gray duly went on to take the frame 69-32. So now it's 9-8, and we're into frame 18. This is a close one. Gray to play, 28-21 in front.
Ooh, couldn't get through to it and caught that red much too thick. Playing with left-hand side and just hit it a little bit firm, and the side never took effect. So in goes the red, but once again, not ideal position on the colour. That's a good pot, though. Now, is he on the easy red? I don't think he is. So he's contemplating this tough red along the top cushion. Pressure on this.
Well, how did that drop? Willpower, maybe?
Well, I don't know. I thought it had stopped for
16.
For a second.
17.
And then it went. He's still a lot of work to do to win frame at match at this visit. I'm certain Dave is thinking he might get another chance. Oh, that was an excellent positional shot. Nice little touch aside on. 17 points in front. Looking at the scoreboard, he still needs the 3 remaining reds.
25.
Well,
Ronnie O'Sullivan, 25.
I think the pressure has got to O'Sullivan. He's very anxious to clinch this match. He wouldn't be so anxious if he got a few more frames in hand.
Yes, that was a very surprising miss on the pink. So this could be David Gray's last chance now.
1.
He's come a little bit too straight on the black. He needed a good angle so he could get close to that red near the baud line. He didn't want to play this red like this, and to be honest with you, he's not really come that good on it. He's very straight. He won't be able to get that cue ball away from the cushion. So, although he potted the red, that's not ideal. Okay, he's on the yellow. But boy, would it be some shot to pot the yellow and run round off 2 cushions for the yellow, which will go back on its spot. He's considering the blue, but it looks to me as if he potted the blue, he may run into the pink, and that would spoil his position. But where that cue ball is, tight against the cushion, no shot is easy. Contemplating playing the black and the snooker. Nine points behind. 9-8 behind.
David Gray, 9.
Yes, all the pots were too risky there. He had to play the safety.
Much too thin, much too thin. And David Gray doesn't need the black. Yellow, green, brown, blue, pink to take us into a deciding frame.
Two.
Would certainly have preferred not to have kissed the brown, but for that he would have been perfect on the green. Excellent recovery. Should clear from brown to pink now to take the match into a decider.
Well, could you have played a better positional shot than that? He's
9.
left himself a little bit of work to do. As you say, blue and pink required, but it could have been easier.
14.
So the pink with the rest.
O'Sullivan showed a few signs of frailty in that frame. Gray kept his composure and has levelled the match at 9-all.
Final frame, David Gray to break. Quietly, please.
Well, who would have thought it? O'Sullivan has made 5 centuries in a 96 and has played just about at his best, certainly until the last couple of frames. And it's still only 9-all. Good red, but couldn't hold black ball position.
Ronnie O'Sullivan 1.
Well, I'm a little bit surprised he tried to play the snooker behind the black. I thought he might have been better advised running off the table. I mean, the pressure that's on here and the tension to try and snooker there, and he's left this red. You know, to play a delicate shot like that in these circumstances was, well, asking a little bit too much of himself, I felt. Could have run off the black into the baulk end. A lot safer option. So, first good chance to David Gray.
Who has never lost his self-belief and composure, no matter what O'Sullivan has thrown at him.
Four.
Wasn't able to force far enough up the table.
David Gray 4.
From the green. Had to resort to safety. A safety which he thought was sending this red into the bunch.
Not found the baulk cushion. And clear path now for David Gray to play a more telling safety shot. It's pretty good.
Gray's tenacity in levelling the match has put O'Sullivan under immense pressure.
Well, he had a big problem there, Ronnie. And but for contacting on the blue would have got it pretty safe, but as it is, there's a choice of reds for David Gray to go at, and this is the choice. Stun across for the black in the same pocket. He's not on the black, but he may be on the pink. So, a chance to build up a useful lead in this all-important frame now for the young man from Surrey.
David Gray, 7.
Well, maybe the pressure is getting hold of Gray too. His first real sign of frailty.
Yes, he hasn't missed many, and still probably thinking about that red he missed. But Ronnie hasn't once again put him under any pressure with this safety. It's just basically an easy return back to baulk for David. Well, that's interesting. Because it was an easy return back to baulk, I thought he'd have played thick off the cluster. He played a negative safety. That's a change of tactic. Don't think Ronnie's on anything, though. That was aggressive.
Well, that was too aggressive in the circumstances.
Ronnie O'Sullivan, 1.
Yes, he can't afford to force the issue now because, well, both players at the point of no return. David Gray, in his last safety shot, was determined, it seemed to me, to keep it tight, not take any undue risks.
1.
And basically Ronnie, just by playing that yellow, has thrown caution to the wind. Not really the time to be doing that. Although I can't fault his attitude in this match at all.
I can't fault Gray's either. He's been completely unintimidated. But some strange things are happening in this deciding frame.
Well, what a fluke that was. You lucky, lucky boy. Dear me. I thought he'd made the mistake there that could have cost him the match. Somehow a red went into the right centre and he's still in play. very fortunate.
And surely he overplayed his hand on the shot that he attempted. Very big shot to attempt at a stage like this.
Rumble.
Screwing back to safety, but didn't get the cue ball back behind the ball climb.
Yes, and looking at Ronnie there, having a sip of that water, he could be fearing the worst. For David Gray, that has got this match to 9 each, invariably has been winning frames from situations like this. I know it's different. Deciding frame, playing Ronnie O'Sullivan, the world number 4. But what a chance for another
6.
first round shock.
7.
We lost the reigning world champion, Stephen Hendry, on the first day. Day 3, are we going to lose Ronnie O'Sullivan?
Well, in normal circumstances, Gray would be a heavy odds-on to win the frame from here. These are not normal circumstances.
22.
But he still looks as if he's going to do it.
23.
Yes, he made a mistake in this frame, but it was very lucky to fluke a red in the middle, which, although he didn't continue the break off it, it enabled him to put Ronnie in, well, not give Ronnie O'Sullivan the easy chance that it looked as though it was offering. But since he's got this chance now, he's back queuing sweep, 46 points in
30.
front, 2 reds, 2 colours, and Ronnie O'Sullivan will be out.
$31. $38.
Doesn't have to be a black from this red.
No, any red.
So, O'Sullivan is going to have to cope with a huge disappointment.
David Gray, 39.
Unless he gets a snooker and wins this frame.
Tricky black. If he misses it, it's the handshake. Great shot. Great shot.
8. 9.
Where's the cue ball going? Is it going in the middle?
$16.
No pot on the red will be played here. Snooker going for.
Ronnie O'Sullivan, 16.
He's got it. Just. And I don't think it's that difficult to hit. Well, maybe you can just get past the blue. 39 ahead. There you see, David. 35 remaining, so Ronnie O'Sullivan 1 snooker to tie.
Foul. Ronnie
It's the
O'Sullivan,
pink.
6.
Ronnie can now win.
Well, has this astonishing match got another twist in it?
Well, Ronnie has left him a chance, and you see the determination on young David's face. He can get through to this red. He knows if he pots it, he's won. He's won. That's the cue ball going.
Ronnie O'Sullivan, 4.
Well, he hasn't quite won, but O'Sullivan does need a snooker. One of the few instances where a foul is actually of an advantage to the man who commits it.
Well, the one thing you've got to do when you're playing snookers is not put the object ball near a pocket. Well, this isn't over yet. We may see Ronnie O'Sullivan here pot the yellow and play a snooker off the green behind the blue. Well, now he's playing the snooker beat. Well, he is. He's going to play that.
2.
It's a great opportunity, of course. The green being so close to the blue relies on touch. He's got it. He's got it.
And it's pretty tight on the blue as well. This is going to be tough to hit.
Yes, as you say, Clive, it's tight on the blue, but because the cue ball seems to be slightly, well, it is tight. It is tight. If there's no natural angle and he's got to use side, that makes it very difficult. Because you can use too much side, too little. Hit it well. Hit it well.
Still, O'Sullivan needs a snooker.
Yes, as I said before on the yellow, it's imperative you don't get the snooker, you've got to get the green safe. You've got to get the ball safe, otherwise you might not get another chance for a snooker. Luckily, he has done, but not by design.
Well, the corner pocket double surely would have settled it.
Well, it's not bad, but it doesn't really cause a problem. Just thin on the left-hand side of the green. It may even go in off the black when it comes off the side cushion. better chance now for Ronnie to play a snooker. Green off 2 cushions, try and get the cue ball behind the brown, if you can avoid the double kiss. Just too much pace, or maybe not enough, but whatever, it's not the snooker he needs.
Had to hit and hope there, and the green has finished safe.
Well, but for the knuckle of the middle pocket, I'm certain Ronnie would have been snookered there. Tense moments in this match. That's not quite there. Both players finding the gap. Too pacey. Well, it was nearly a good kiss on the brown. The thing is, you see, normally we always talk about situations like this. You could think of David Gray rolling this green over the pocket, but he doesn't really want to do that. If he rolls it over the pocket, doesn't go in, it leaves Ronnie an opportunity to pop the green and get a good position for snookering on the brown. So in a way, we've got 2 players trying to get a snooker. Well, he's left the green this time. This could be the end of this match.
Well, what a match. Ronnie O'Sullivan made 5 centuries and a 96. He played to his best
David Gray, 3.
until he led 9-7. But David Gray never lost his self-belief, never lost his composure. And barring 2 snookers to tie, this is a great win for the 21-year-old from Morden.
4.
Ronnie purposely there, potting the brown. Oh, well. Handshakes!
Well, one of the most remarkable matches I've ever seen. David Gray beats Ronnie O'Sullivan by 10 frames to 9.
An absolutely enthralling match at the Crucible this morning. O'Sullivan, the number 4 seed, one of the favourites, is out, losing in fact in the opening round for the first time since his first visit here to the Crucible in 1993 when he lost to Alan McManus. So O'Sullivan is gone. David Gray has just had the greatest day of his snooker life. Congratulations, David. Does it feel that way?
Yeah, it's my best win so far, definitely.
Yeah. Has it sunk in? What are you thinking about it now? You've been sitting watching the last frame with us.
I don't think it's completely sunk in yet, no, but I'm just pleased to still be in the tournament.
Yeah, sure you are. We've so many things we can talk about, but let's talk about the fact that you were 1-0 up and then you were never ahead until you'd won the match. How do you stay with Ronnie when he's playing well? Because he was.
Well, that's it. To go 5-1 down, I didn't really do anything wrong. He had 3 centuries and a 96. Just absolute, you know, it's just genius. So I can't believe I won from there, to be honest.
Yeah. Was that the key moment maybe yesterday when you got those 3 frames to go from 5-1 to 5-4?
I think so, yeah. I mean, obviously, I got back into the match going 5-4. I played well. I think I had 370 pluses to get to 5-4. And I gave myself a chance today.
And of course, you won the last 3 frames. I suppose mental strength is something that we all talk about in sport and snooker as much as anything. Do you feel that mentally you're a strong player, that is one of the good parts of your game?
I feel that I am at the moment. I've gone through spells in the last few years where I have been very weak mentally, but I've got it together now. I feel that I'm very strong-minded now, yeah.
Certainly proved it there. Dennis, you were as much enthralled by that as anyone else. What about that final frame? Everything happened, didn't it?
It was incredible, as Clive Everton said. It's one of the most incredible matches that I've ever seen, and certainly for a first-round match at the Crucible. We talk about all the breaks that Ronnie made, but David here had a 50-plus, a 60-plus, 370s, an 80-odd, a 90-odd, and it would have been a bit of a tragedy there towards the end, because he got a kick on the brown. He got a terrible kick on the brown when the match, I'm sure David thought the match was over, and then all sorts of things seemed to happen and he could have lost, but he did keep remarkably cool. And you were saying after your game with James Watson that the tension was unbelievable. How does it compare to that out there, David?
Oh yeah, that's right.
Because that was the last qualifying match.
That's right,
yeah, because I played here in '98 and I loved it. You know, there was a lot of pressure on me against James Watson because I wanted to get back here so much. That's there against Ronnie. I enjoyed the pressure more. You know, I really enjoyed the match, the whole match.
Did you feel the old cliche that you had nothing to lose today? Everyone expected Ronnie to win, obviously. Were you aware that maybe there was less pressure on you because of that?
But I didn't think like that, to be honest. You know, I always believe in myself. I think I can beat anyone on my day if I play well. I'm capable of beating anyone. So.
I can only imagine the huge boost that must have given to your confidence. I mean, you'll not be frightened of anyone now, I wouldn't have thought.
I'm just wondering how your mum is outside. His mum Pat, who travels around with him everywhere, she must be absolutely delighted. But this has got to be the stepping stone for him. He's got a couple of days off. I think he played the winner of Peter Ebden, Dominic Dale. So it's a great chance for him. If he plays like that, I mean, if he can beat Ronnie O'Sullivan when Ronnie's played like that, he's got every chance of going an awful long way in the embassy this year.
No question about it. Let's just hear what Ronnie O'Sullivan made of it all then. He was pretty philosophical after his defeat.
I've just lost a snooker match. There's not really too much to say about it apart from he was the better player and I just wasn't good enough to win this match. David played very well and I needed to be a lot more solid in all areas of the game. My safety maybe let me down. My long potting wasn't as good as it could have been. And I just couldn't manage to put him under enough pressure just to, you know, at 5-1 up. I had a very good lead, but, you know, he was curing very well. And, you know, he never lost his confidence all through the game and he just kept coming back at me. But it just wasn't meant to be. I lost the match and he was the best player over 2 days and, yeah, obviously I'm disappointed. But as far as I'm concerned, this is history now and the tournament goes on. And if he plays, you know, like that, he's got every chance of beating whoever he plays. You always think it could be your year, but I don't, you know, could and if is not really a word in sport as far as I'm concerned. What matters is on the table, and if you don't produce the goods on the table, then you're not going to get the results, and you know, that just happened to be the case.
It was a match to remember, but that's no consolation if you're the man who's lost it. David, you've now got a break till Thursday night, I think, your next match. What do you do between now and then, apart from just sit back and enjoy it all?
Practice away. Just look forward to it now.
Yeah, you're going to stay around the Crucible? You're not going to...
That's right, yeah, I'm going to stay out.
Yeah. Well done, David.
Thank you
Terrific
very
match.
much.
Good to see you indeed.